Studio216 has been around for about 15 years. They got started off in the architecture, engineering, and construction space. So we've been doing visualizations and renderings more in 2D formats for customers in that space for a very long time. That's kind of how we built our content chops. Along the way, more of those customers, as tech evolved, wanted more immersive experiences to be able to show off properties, usually in a more immersive manner. And so we started building what ultimately led to us creating Altura, the beginnings of a software product that would solve for XR use cases for the enterprise. We think of ourselves purely focused on the enterprise space, and so we're solving for business needs around XR that need to be device agnostic. They need to be able to enable collaboration, and they need high quality content to get these experiences off the ground. And so that's really where our content chops come into play, where we're able to create beautiful experiences for people regardless of what use case they're solving for. Because you can build really cool tech, but if the visualizations, if the immersion isn't pleasing to the user, it's not going to get adopted. They kind of range across the board. We have everything from what we call our design offering, that's collaborative design of workspaces or physical spaces, to training, so more immersive training around, Sprint's doing a massive deployment with us to train their retail store sales associates in a virtual Sprint store, and they're learning about products they'll be selling and going through customer persona-based training modules. We've got a demo of that at the event today based on an Army recruiting scenario. And so, both those are very different in my mind. All the way to field scenarios. We have field techs going out and working on equipment, so they want to be able to look up repair manuals or be able to dial in a remote expert into those scenarios as well. So really spans the spectrum. And so we have customers where we started doing something around one of these use cases, let's say training with Sprint, but very quickly got into solving other problems for them. So for instance, again with Sprint, just kind of stay on that customer, they're using Altura to drive what will eventually become a field-assisted scenario for deploying 5G equipment on towers as they're building out this 5G network. And so they want to be able to send techs in the field that might not have training on how to install that equipment, but are able to refer to that documentation as they're working on site, and also dial in a remote expert that's sitting at headquarters that knows the ins and outs of how to install this new equipment. So it's a force multiplier in a lot of ways in those scenarios, right? Like let's say Sprint has, just to pick a number, let's say they have 100 folks that know how to deploy this new equipment. Well, suddenly using Altura, they're not having to spend time traveling to all these field locations. They can just remote in with the tech that's out in the field and bring that expertise to bear. So we think of it as amplifying, human abilities, whether it's force multiplication like I just outlined, or helping people learn faster and improve business results. That's really where it's at for our customers. I think the easiest one to talk about, or the most simple one to talk about, is training. Training is a need that exists across organizations, both on the government side as well as commercial side. We're also seeing a high degree of interest in the ability to do remote inspections based on 360 photography for facilities that you might not want to have to travel to. Both scenarios of a one-time inspection or a periodic inspection that's happening at a regular frequency, to be able to look at that facility or that piece of equipment out in the field without having to actually travel to that location is a big advantage as well. So those are a couple of the examples that we're seeing. And then the other one that has a high degree of interest is the ability to work on what's called a digital twin of either a physical space, or whether it's a facility or like the interior, the layout of a room or a facility, to be able to work on that collaboratively to make either design changes or plan workflows around the layout of that facility is another one that we're seeing high degree of interest in.